What if I told you that one of the strangest operations in military history was not against another country, but against a bird? And not just any bird, an army of emus. Welcome to Hidden Histories, where we uncover the more obscure events in history that the world has forgotten. Today, we dive into one of Australia's military operations, the Great Emu War of 1932. The Great Emu War brings us to Western Australia, 1932. The world was battling the Great Depression, and Australian farmers had their own crisis. Many of them were veterans from World War I, and they had just gotten this marginal agriculture as a part of the government's soldier settlement scheme. They were desperately trying to make a living on unforgiving soil, and then came the emus. Following their seasonal migration, around 20,000 emus descended upon farmland in Western Australia's Campion district. They trampled crops, destroyed fences, and devastated the livelihood of struggling farmers. The government needed a solution, and fast. In November of 1932, the Australian military sent Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery to lead the charge. But this wasn't a huge military campaign. Just Meredith and a couple soldiers armed with a couple Lewis machine guns and about 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The mission seemed straightforward. Find the emus, shoot the emus, kill the emus. But the emus had other plans. Fast, resilient, and surprisingly strategic, they ran at the first sound of gunfire. They ran in strategic zigzag lines and could absorb most of the bullets coming their way. Even more frustrating for the farmers, they were breaking up into small little groups, which made them almost impossible to target. After just a few days and thousands of bullets, only about 200 of the 20,000 emus were killed. The press had a field day, dubbing it as the Great Emu War. By mid-November of 1932, the government was forced to admit defeat. The war had been a complete failure. With 10,000 rounds of ammunition used to only kill a couple hundred emus, this had been a complete failure. General Meredith said himself, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks." A second attempt was made later that month with a little bit better success, but the operation was ultimately still abandoned. The government ended up issuing a bounty system, which proved much more effective as farmers were offered money for emu kills. About 57,000 emus were killed in just 6 months in 1934. As absurd as it sounds, the Great Emu War shows what happens when human determination meets nature's resilience. So, what can we learn from the Great Emu War? Maybe it's a lesson in humility, or maybe it's a lesson of nature's ability to adapt and thrive. Whatever the case, this peculiar event in history shows that even the most advanced military technology can be rendered ineffective by the unpredictable behavior of wildlife. Today, emus remain protected by the Australian government, and farmers have found more effective ways to protect their crops. This war has just become a fun footnote in Australian history, but one that still captures our imagination. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the bizarre, then be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what fun events in history you want me to cover next. And remember, history isn't always written by the winners. Sometimes it's written by the survivors. In this case, the emus. Until next time, this is Hidden Histories.